Hi everyone, thank you for joining me today on today's video. We'll be talking about how to migrate to Australia as a teacher. And shout out to one of my viewers, Kevin Mukunzi, who asked me if I could cover today's topic. So yes, today we are covering how to come to Australia as a teacher. So it's very interesting because you guys know me now. I'm not a teacher. And so I'm going to try and cover this in the best way possible. And when I was thinking about this, I thought how best to cover this than to bring a teacher who is a friend and somebody that we can just sit down and talk about her journey. It's quite interesting. A journey of coming to live, work in Australia, not as anything else, but as a teacher. So without, further ado, I want to bring on set my dear friend Linda. Thank you for agreeing to come on set. It just shows how big your heart is, how your desire is to help other people. And I really commend you for that. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So Linda, we'll just, quickly go into it. Please introduce yourself to my viewers and tell us a little bit more about you.
So my name is Linda and I'm a mother of three children. My husband is Edgar Munzazi and I'm a teacher. We came to Australia in 2017.
Thank you. And I always say, migration, all of us have our own migration story. And I've spoken to a lot of people, and everybody has that, story that people don't know about. People see the final product, they see you glowing today, they see you doing the things that you do. But all of us have something to say about how we migrated, our challenges, our stories. And these are the stories that, we need to hear more. And so today I just want you to take us through your migration story. How was it for you? And the distance from where you came from and where you are today.
So everybody has a unique migration story. So yeah, like everybody else, mine is different. So mine came about because my husband decided to come and study in Australia. That was way in 2015. So he came to study, and after 2 years, we thought it wise to just have the family together. So that's how I ended up coming to Australia. But obviously, it wasn't like something that I had previously thought about, because I think I was settled, like I was happy just being where I was. But yes, we was such a small family just starting out, and him being away was actually not good for us. So we decided to, come to Australia. So that's how my journey coming to Australia began.
Okay, alrighty. And I know of a lot of people that come, they are professionals in their own country, and then when they come to Australia, they change things around, and they do other things. What sort of drove you to just persist on and try to become a teacher?
That's really interesting because when I came, it wasn't easy because, like I said, I wasn't the one coming to study because my husband is the one that came to study. So I was a qualified teacher back in Kenya. So I just wanted to do the job that I was doing back home. Something that I'm familiar with, something that I enjoy doing. So I really wanted to still be a teacher in this country. And so it just didn't come like that. So first of all, I had to do the ground work, which was to have myself registered. So after doing many English tests, that is the IELTS test, I had my assessment done. That's my skills assessment. So that came through, and I like my qualification matched with what is being done here. And then I also got my teacher registration. So there's two things that I needed to do: get my teacher registration done, and then get my skills assessment.
Okay.
So once that was done, then I was ready to even just put out my applications and wanting to get maybe some a school that I'll go to teach.
Okay.
So that's how it began. But before that, I needed to also do my IELTS test. And I can tell you it wasn't easy. Someone would say, but she's a teacher, why couldn't she just get her IELTS test done in like, the first round? So obviously, like any other test, if you haven't done an IELTS test before, there's many things they're looking to see that you're able to do. Like every other test, things can happen. So I would say that you continue persisting in wanting to look at what exactly they want for you to do in the test.
Exactly.
Like for a teacher, you have to have a 7 in listening, a 7 in, an 8 in speaking, as an 8 in listening, and then in reading and writing you had to get a band 7. So you had to have like an average of 7.5. Yeah.
Okay.
So a 7.5. So
And that's the minimum.
That's the minimum. Yeah. So once you get that done, then it opens the avenues for you to put in your application, because they want to see that you have like proficiency in English to be able to even go to class. So that needed to be done. So that's what I did. Yeah.
IELTS is tough. I agree with you. I joke and I say that's the fastest I've actually ever failed in my life.
Yeah.
And when we talk about failing IELTS, it's not because you don't know how to speak English. It's not because, you cannot read and write. It's just because you don't know how to do it. IELTS to me is an experiment. So it's sort of, you don't know how to do the experiment. And so as a result, you don't get what you need.
Yeah.
So the bands are relative to your profession. So
That's
for teachers, I can obviously see that your band is a little bit higher than even doctors. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned something quite interesting about registration and skills assessment. For a teacher that's listening to us today, what are those two and what does each entail?
So, so the teacher registration is actually like a license for you to be able to teach in Australia, like any other profession. You need that to be able to go to class. So what that means is you have the qualification of becoming a teacher, meaning you have done your initial teacher studies. So I would compare that to teaching practice back in Kenya. So you need to have done an undergraduate teaching degree. You also you must have done your teaching practice. So those are key to be able to get your teacher registration. Yes.
And that's done by the TRB, the teachers.
So that yes. So in the state that I am in, it's the teacher registration board that does that. Yeah.
And then skills assessment.
So for the skills assessment is actually for migration. If you want to migrate, you can come here and actually become a teacher if you get your teacher registration. But if you want to migrate, then you have to go further and do a skills assessment. Yeah. So just to make sure, okay, you've said you have some teaching qualification back home, so they want to actually make sure that you have the qualification that you claim to be having. And then they're also looking, obviously, at, like I said, English proficiency. They're also looking to see if you have, the initial teacher. So more or less the same, but there's that difference where one is might help you get your migrate eventually to Australia, but the other one is actually for you to be able to become a teacher in Australia if you want.
Yeah, that does make sense. So skills assessment is to see that you're at par to the teachers in Australia and obviously assist as well in applying for visas and stuff. And then your license is so that you get your license to practice and nobody can practice without a
without that.
license.
Yeah.
All right, that's good to know. So, what are the highlights for you, or what can you tell somebody about something that you really love about living and working in Australia so far?
Yeah, my highlights, I would talk about it in two ways. Like the highlights in my professional life, obviously, is being able to go back into the teaching profession. And that came about because I was open to go to the regional areas. So that was the biggest highlight for me, just seeing myself in class and yeah,
Doing what you love.
teaching, doing what I love. That was really amazing. And then the other highlight, obviously, is just being able to be in the same profession, which sometimes is a misconception that you have to, yeah, just remain doing the jobs that you are not trained to do, other than trying to see how you can re-enter the profession that you are doing back at home. So I think that is the biggest highlight for me, being a teacher in Australia.
And that's very encouraging because I see a lot of people who are actually professionals back at home or back in their countries. They come here and they just sort of give up along the way. So good on you that you've pushed yourself out of your comfort zone to be able to do what you love. And I'm sure that it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't
And
easy.
so I come to that part. What has been your challenges so far of doing what you love doing and also just moving and living in Australia?
Yeah, the biggest challenge was just making the move to come to like a foreign country. So that was huge for me. I'm one person that, yeah, I think I had settled in Kenya and I was happy where I was at until you get out of that comfort zone and you realize, oh, there's new worlds, there's stuff that you can do differently. So yeah, before you make that move, that was such a big challenge for me. And then obviously teaching in Australia is a learning process. So in the sense that a teacher is perceived differently in terms of how your students take you to be, you know, like back at home, students have such respect for respect for their teachers, but obviously here it's different. And then there's a lot of classroom management, like you should be able to just do things differently than we were doing at home. So in that manner, there's obviously challenges, but also something that pushes you to want to even better yourself. I think that's main. And then there's a lot of paperwork going on. So like there's documentation, there's emails to be read early in the morning when you come to work, there's meetings, there's there's really a lot of work to be done in terms of just making sure that kids are safe and at the same time you're able to just deliver content and all that. So you need all that coming together, and you not having been or having studied in the country is a bit challenging, but it's also just an opportunity to do better.
All right. And obviously, as you talk about, you know, your roles as a teacher is not only standing in class and teach.
Sure.
I hear you saying that your role is also, you know, stewardship. So you're stewarding again for your kids as well. And talk to us about some of the things like mandatory reporting that as a teacher is an extra responsibility for you.
Yes, that's really, that's big here. Like one of the things that we are trying to do is to make sure that when we receive kids, we keep them safe, and that's key. So it's not just about kids coming to school and teaching, but also making sure that everybody is safe under your care. So we try to make that happen every day, and should that not happen, then we have to make the necessary steps to make sure that we report if we suspect that things are not going the way they should. So when it comes to mandatory reporting, mainly it's about surrounding reporting if there's any
Perceived
sexual abuse or
physical abuse.
anything like that towards a kid. So it's part of what we do, that we need to, just contact the necessary authority to make sure that that's done.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's something that maybe those are the conversations that we need to have even back home, that these things need to be
Need to do more.
yeah, like we shouldn't just be about teaching, but also just make sure that kids are safe under our care, and that's key.
Yeah, we all have a role to play to make our kids safe.
We
So
have a duty of care.
yeah. So those were your professional challenges, but as a mother and as a wife, and also juggling that side and family, what sort of challenges have you experienced so far?
As a family person, as a mom, as a wife, there's many challenges, especially when it comes to just striking a balance between your work life and your personal life. So sometimes they might conflict because here you are waking up early to prepare your kids to go to school, but you also, because I commute, so you also have to make sure that you're also on time at your workplace. So sometimes hitting that balance is a bit tricky, but you have to try, and you have to be disciplined, and be committed to what you're doing, because you've signed up a contract saying that this is what you're gonna do, so you have to do that. So you have to be professional, but also, when it comes to being a mom, you have to perform your duty. So I say, when I'm at work, I'm actually very professional. When I get home, I switch that button and make sure that, yes, I'm a mom, and sometimes that doesn't happen, but in most cases, I still remind myself I'm at home, and this is the role that I need to play as a mom. So I switch off that button of being a professional.
And I definitely hear you, because as a working, career woman as well, it's never easy, doing that. And I've seen also, in my life as well, having to juggle work, you come home. But I think the other thing that I have seen also, having you as a friend, is, the support that you get from your partner as well.
That's true.
And that's something that, every family intending to migrate needs to put that into place, I would suppose. What's your take on that?
And I think that is a good point, especially for me, because when I came here, I kind of immediately fell pregnant with my third born child, and I couldn't go straight into maybe doing work, because I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna fit into the work environment. And that's where my husband actually comes in, because he's been such an inspiration, in the sense that he's been working full time, at the same time he's the one going to school. But also, I can't also downplay the part that I played, because I'm a mom, a full-time mom, and just making sure the house is running well. But I'm also looking to re-enter the workforce. So I'm also doing IELTS on the sides. So it's not that I'm just sitting there not doing. So you have to you have to juggle all these things and making sure that all comes together. So yes, our partners really do a lot. They play a big role in just making sure we also advance in whatever profession that we are in. Yes.
I've heard you mentioning, obviously, that you work in the regional towns of where we live. somebody contemplating working in the regions, what would you tell them? And I mean, being absolutely honest, the pros and the cons of living in the region. Obviously, there are good points, and obviously, there are things that they need to look out for. What are some of those things you would tell us?
So initially, what made us go regional was I had tried putting out applications in metro schools, and the message was the same, like, have you got any Australian experience? And I was like, so how do I get the experience if you don't employ me? So
exactly the same thing I said when I was trying to find a job.
But that's the message I got from, I think, about 5 schools. So I was like, so where do I get the experience? And lucky enough, I had a friend that was working regional, and this friend had another friend. So through mutual friends, that's how I got to know about this regional school. And the moment I went regional, I realized that there's many opportunities that people don't know about.
Exactly.
Like for myself, I went as a relief teacher. So I was covering a teacher that had gone on maternity leave, and I did that for 4 weeks. So when that ended, my contract ended, I came back to Perth. And immediately after, this teacher actually wanted me back, but I had gotten a job still in the regions, so I was in a different school. So there's many job opportunities in the regions, just because the regions, such as transient work environment, like people move in, people move out. So there was always that opportunity to get a job, and yeah, that's how it's possible for you to get the Australian experience that you're looking for in the regionals than in the city. The other thing about the regional, working in the regional or remote areas is because you have many opportunities, financial, and even just professional opportunities. Like you can advance yourself. There's many opportunities for you to do that in the regions, and yeah, you get to save more because yeah, you're not.
They're not traffic tickets.
Yes.
They're not traffic
Yeah,
tickets.
that's true.
And
Yeah.
what about any, challenges, things to look out and prepare yourself? Because I always say if you don't prepare, you're likely to fail. So if you go into a region well prepared, knowing what to expect, then you're likely to be successful. What are some of the things one needs to look out for?
I think being in the regions, you have to actually be wanting to have something out of it. But if you just are coming to think that you will just maybe have fun in the regions, maybe that might not happen for you. So you really have to be patient. The beauty about the regions is also it's such a close-knit community. It's a close-knit community, so people are willing to help people, and
I think so.
yes, there's a lot of networking, especially if you join the different groups that are there. You can actually get yourself what you're looking for. And the other thing about the regional areas is that many employers are looking to sponsor people. If you create relationships with them, then you might just end up getting a pathway for migration.
That's true.
So that's the beauty of working in the regions.
That's true. Okay. And what would you say, what would be the biggest misconception that people have of you, or, that people have with regards to living in Australia? What sort of misconception have you come across?
The main one, obviously, is that we have a lot of money, and there's just money everywhere. But you come to look at it this way, there's also many responsibilities. There's bills to be paid. So as much as there's this money coming in, it's also going out very fast.
Exactly.
And they might not tell you people in this country actually work 24/7, just round the clock to make sure things happen. So I think that's the biggest misconception that people might be having. And yes,
I think I've mentioned this in one of my videos on
yeah,
about harsh truth about living abroad,
yeah,
where you know family and friends and generally people that you care about may have misconceptions about you. And obviously, I'm glad you have the same thoughts, because obviously, as much as you're getting a good income, your needs are many, and obviously more than one time you'll find that you're supporting a few more people, and obviously it just means that you have to juggle and balance, and even probably take on more jobs just to make the ends meet. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
One more thing, maybe career-wise. The other one would be when you come to this country, like when I started, I said I wasn't the one coming to study, and I didn't study here, yet I got a job as a teacher. So I would really tell people, you don't have to settle in the job that you don't want to be in. You can, just do your skills assessment. It doesn't matter whatever body that does your skills assessment. Try, do your skills assessment, see whatever matches for you. And put your application out there and see how that goes. So
exactly.
yeah, it's just good to try.
Knock as many doors.
Yes.
Once likely to open, for sure.
That's true.
What are some of the things, working as a teacher, you wished you had? Like, I mean, I'm looking at it this way, like if you lived or went to school here, or if you went in, got your IELTS early, or is there anything that you could have done, differently looking back when you were starting this journey?
That's, looking back, maybe I would have, which I'm still thinking about, I would love to still maybe get a post, maybe graduate degree in education here. And I'm still thinking about it, though I haven't actually gotten to see what I want to do. But that is something that maybe I would have done differently, or maybe I should have done, just so it gives me a better view of how to engage with colleagues, and also more insights into how to teach students in Australia.
Okay.
So probably that would be it.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because the other question that I was going to ask you, like, what are some of the culture shocks you had? Because I joke and I say, when I first came to Australia, I think, even just names, saying people's names was so hard. And I joke and I say, there's one patient that I would never forget, having a colleague called Murray. And I came to Australia and I found a patient's name, Mari. So instead of saying Mari, I was like Murray. So everybody, was just busting out and wondering, what's this girl up to? So what are some of the, cultural, or culture shocks you've had to deal with?
So for myself, there's many, but one that really stands out is there was this day when I was teaching, and there was a student that wasn't engaged. So I was like, if you don't do your work, I will have to inform dad and mom, or your guardian, or... So when I said dad, everybody in the classroom went silent, and I was like, did I say something wrong? What did I do? And then there was this brave girl that said, yes, miss, you said dad. You say he's dad. So I was like, is it wrong to say dad? Say, yes, miss, because the dad had passed on. So according to their culture, you don't talk about people that have passed on. So it was wrong for me to say I will have to talk to your dad. So here I was, and I think that even takes me back. We are supposed to know our students, and that's something that maybe I should have been mindful about. So I'm very mindful nowadays. I just don't say your dad or your mom. I really sit with my students and get to know their dad, if there's mom, and get to know them. And I just don't say those kinds of things. But it's different. So just being mindful or culturally aware of certain stuff.
Exactly.
You really have to be careful.
And that's very true, because I feel like it's happened to me as well, because one day I walk into a patient's room and we are chatting away, and I'm excited. I'm a talker, by the way, so I talk. So we are chatting away with this old guy, maybe in their early 70s or late 70s, and we're chatting away. And then there's this young girl sitting next to him, and then I go like, "Oh, so your pop's doing really well. Oh, look at me, I'm feeling nice that now I know how to use the Australian slang with your pop. So your grandfather is doing very well." And then she looks at me, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I messed it up. I messed it up." And actually that was the partner. So not even the daughter, that was the partner. So that again has taught me as well to be really, really mindful before giving labels and before giving titles, just to be mindful that you could actually be stepping in in an unknown quarter. So your final advice, Linda, to someone who's contemplating moving to Australia, and I really want you to look into that camera and talk to somebody that has had this in their mind. They've thought about it, they keep going back and forth, they've had discouragements with IELTS. I want you to look at them and just tell them your heart to heart. What would you tell such a person today?
So if there's teachers out there wanting to come to Australia, I would advise them to just follow your dream. Like I said, you can come as a student, you can come and study and a teaching degree, education degree. You can come as a qualified teacher. So there's many pathways that you can follow, but you have to follow your heart if you have to, and also do due diligence. There's many migration agents, certified migration agents that can help you get specific information about what you want to come and do in Australia, or if you want to migrate, because all these all migration rules keep changing. So I might not be the person to go to if you're looking to migrate, but I would point at a migration agent that is certified, that can help you. All I can do is tell you my story and inspire you that it is possible for you to come from whatever country you're coming from and come here and be able to become a teacher and continue with your profession.
Okay. I think as we wind up, I think the one thing that I've really learned from you, Linda, is your resilience, and having talked to you before, I know how many times you did IELTS, and every time you get a low score, it's always discouraging because there's money spent, there's time spent, there's the frustration, and there's also the loss of confidence. That's because every time you're doing it and you're doing it and you're doing it, and I'm conversant to the fact that it was easy for you to give up and throw in the towel, but you persisted. So that's, for me, is the biggest thing that is a take home. So just, you have to be resilient. Whatever you decide to do, if this is it, if you've decided that you want to come to Australia as a teacher, you have to be resilient. Don't do one IELTS and it discourages you completely. And sometimes the IELTS that you get may not give you registration, but it can give you an opportunity to come and do a master's in something. So maybe you may actually have to take up on that. And the other big thing that I've heard Linda saying, and I just want to reiterate that fact, is you don't have to settle for less. Just because you've migrated and you don't want to stress yourself and push yourself, you do not have to settle for less. You can push and push and push. You can knock as many doors as you want and as you can, and one door is likely going to open. The other thing that I must summarize from what we've had with Linda is, don't be shy to move to the regions. Do not be shy to move to the regions. There are opportunities. And like I always say, I've lived in the regions. It's not written on my face at all. It just gave me a lot of opportunities. And as soon as my time came to leave, I left, So if you go to the regions, and which is something that I must say, if you go to the regions, set your priorities right, know why you've gone there, smash what you've gone to get. If it's PR, if it's, you want to, get that experience, get it. And as soon as you get it and you want to move, you move. A lot of employers will be understanding to the fact that you want to challenge yourself, you've served your time, and it's time to move on. And I think the last thing that I take home from Linda is you need the support of your loved ones. You cannot do this on your own, especially if you're a family person. There are kids to be taken care of. There are times that your partner will shoulder the financial aspects. There are times that they will shoulder when you're studying and when you're preparing for your exams and when you're preparing for, things to do. And lastly, you can come to Australia as a teacher, You can come to Australia as a teacher. You do not have to come as a student teacher. There are avenues. So do the due diligence. We'll put in a link for you for things to look out for and what to read and study. And there are always emails that you can write to us for more information. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Linda, for coming on set and for being, so generous to share your story. And I hope somebody, and I hope somebody will be motivated from your story.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.